Hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. And of course, Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome, welcome. New Year. And we're doing the Rail Talk live tonight. Every Saturday night, I show up. I work on some kits, so maybe the layout, do some graffiti, some weathering, some painting, some building. And if you're lucky, you'll have to stomach me doing some electrical as well at some point, but not tonight. Thank goodness for that. So you'll see that tonight's show we've called "Old Kit, New Life," and it's a little bit of a ditty that I've been doing since last year at some point. I was working on this kit. You can see that one back there. That's my paper mill. Brick by brick, I rebuilt this thing, gave it a second life, and it lights up and everything now, which is great. And it's done. It's done. I'm not touching that thing again. I even added details to it and everything. Thank you everybody for the support with that. Yeah, that was a lot of bricks to paint. To continue on with that whole situation and my paper mill, it's comprised of that kit and then a bunch of kits here. I've got 3 kits that are together on one platform, and I'm gonna take you through that one now because these are old kits, and I'm gonna give them new life. There's one that I kind of started on here because some of it I did not want to do live because it's painful. I don't know. I wanted to get a head start on it, I guess. But yeah, that's the building in the front. A lot of it was already done, but I do want to fix some things on it, and I'm going to show you what I did. And of course, I've been kind of dabbling with the lights a little bit too, but I want to finalize it. I want to make sure that everything with it is good before I say, okay, I'm done with it, and then I can move on. I just need one more switch for this entire section here, and this entire paper mill is good to go. I can do the switching. I can ballast it if I want. I can, whatever. I can do whatever in this section because it'll all be done. And that's great because I don't even have a loop yet. So I'm a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. But before we go anywhere, before we do anything, of course, I would like to say hi to everybody who took the time to show up tonight. And of course, hand out some Timbits. And we've got N-Scale Dystopia. Denny, he gets the Timbits tonight. He had no insider information as to when this was posted, so he's totally safe. Then we've got Floyd. Hi, Floyd. And Mr. Brian Ferguson. John, one of 50. Darren, how's it going? Willow Creek Industrial Spur. Awesome Possum. Almar, see you in a month. Nelson, how's it going? Glenn, thanks for joining us. Mr. 10707 himself, Sparky, how's it going? And DK, Dwight Curley, how's it going? Everybody's finding their seats. Everybody's getting their hot beverage because it's cold up here. Oh, it's cold. Anthony, how's it going, Anthony? And of course, we've got Joe Rader, Black Rock Central. And I think I've hit the bottom of my list. Yeah. So speaking of live shows and Denny, did you guys catch Denny's show, his live show he did this past Thursday? He always does a great job. He does the first Thursday of our series of Third Rail Thursday live shows. Him in conjunction with myself and Mr. M&M Rails, we hold it down every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Bringing you the very best in model railroading, hopefully. Well, Denny's is good. Ours are okay, but Denny's is really good. And then, of course, at the end of the month, we have GBO After Dark. So this month is going to be a very busy month because Denny is the first week. Next Thursday, I'll be live, and I'm going to be working on my yard, so you're going to want to stick around for that. And then we've got the extra week, and then we've got Trackside Mike. So Trackside Mike, which normally does Monday nights with Dundas Junction Model Railroad James, he's going to be coming to us with a special live and we're calling it, I think we've dubbed it the Road to Springfield, because we're going to Springfield, Massachusetts. We're going to Springfield, Mass. And that's at the end of the month for the Amherst train show. So he's going to be doing a live where we talk about it. And we talk about what to expect, what to see, what we're doing, and what you can expect. Then we'll be back the following week for M&M Rails, and that's his birthday show. He's turning 26, and and we can celebrate his birthday with him. And then the following week, I'll be back from Amherst, and we'll have GV After Dark, and it'll be an awesome time because we can talk about everything. So this month, super busy month. So very excited, and I can't wait to see you all there. So let's get to work, because I can't spend the entire night talking and not working. And I hope you guys are working on stuff too. If you are working on something, let me know, because I'm very interested to hear what's on your workbench, right? For me right now, and I'm going to show you right here, right now, as I turn the camera and kind of point it downward. So you can see this is one kit here. This is a background kit, or a kit that I turned into a background kit. You've got your entire face, and it kind of goes off this way and then off that way. This is the side I changed here, right here. This was a solid, and it only went to about here. And that was okay on my last layout, because I had a kit right here and it came out. So even though this was open, I didn't need to do anything with it because it was open and there was something blocking it, so it didn't matter. But I ended up replacing this whole side because I had this piece right here. So this much of this wall already had the doors on. It had a little exit entry door. And then there's a light here as well, which is cool because it adds more detail. And the more little lights I have on this thing, the more realistic it's going to look, because it's all going to light up when it's dark. So I like having little light features throughout. And hopefully I can do some night running sessions with it as well. So I added this piece, and then of course I found another blank wall section, so I added it on back here. You can't tell because, not that I'm pro, but I made it look pretty good. It looks like one entire wall section. I found the paint that I used for this nice front racing stripe here. It's the nice blue. It's tropical blue, which is where I'd like to be. I'd like to be on a tropical island right now, but I'm not. I'm stuck in the snow. So that's the sad story for today. But I continued on with the stripe along here, using a little trick that Perry taught me. I taped it off. I sprayed it with clear coat, which basically seals that tape line, and then I painted it. And then I removed the tape, and it gives me a nice clean line right along there. Fairly clean. I think I did a pretty good job. But yeah, so it kind of changes the whole look of this side to it here. And it continues the look right around. And, the rail cars pull right up here. You can load your cars. Got a couple of little graffiti things, but I'm probably going to weather this as well. But I'll wait till it's all together as one whole thing, and then we'll go from there. Dundas Junction Model Railroad, how's it going? The roof is still removable. I'm going to make this whole section more permanent now, though, because I want to attach it to a platform. And this is a big part of what I want to do here, especially when it comes to lighting this stuff. Because these are all my wires here from my lights, and I want to make sure that if I ever move again, that I can lift it up and I can carry it, take it where I need to go, and then it'll be safe. Ravenhawk, how's it going? So this is the platform here, and this platform looks terrible. It's masonite, and it's this itself is not very heavy, but these little blocks would make it a little bit more heavy. But these will hold buildings in place, and it keeps it from bending or anything like that. So I had marked out where all the buildings need to go. I've drilled a hole so that the wire can go underneath, and it's one wire that goes through the layout. So all my wires and whatnot will be kept inside the building. You'll never see them to keep it clean, And it'll add stability for my kit. Or kit set, I should say, because there's several here. So this is basically how this is going to go. And I'm going to try and do this again without breaking anything. So this lines up here, and I'm going to hot glue it because that's the way I'm deciding to do this. And this basically is the front outline. Nothing matters really too much back here. So we're just going to focus on making sure that the front is lined up really, really well. And hopefully everything pans out here. Hopefully. Now, this is the way I'm going to be doing a lot of my bigger buildings. If you did watch when I worked on the paper mill, the other building, I put it on a big square of masonite as well, cut to the same shape. And the big reason for that is because when you have a building like that, you don't want it to move, but at the same time, I don't want to make it permanent to the layout. I want to make it permanent to something like a base, especially because you've got, this is this building. I've got a building here and then a long building here. And then there's a whole bunch of detail going on in this part here with piping and all that. And I want to be able to lift it up and take it where I need to take it if I need to take it somewhere. So that's a big part of this. Because I don't want it to break. Mostly. Rail Artist, how's it going? Now, I did see a comment there, and I wanted to go up and see. Ravenhawk, very interesting. Chris, if I don't mind inquiring, what kit did you start to make the very interesting building? Okay, so this building here, there is a couple of warehouse buildings from Walthers that you can use to do something like this. And it's just your modern concrete style warehouse. And they come in slabs. So that's one slab, that's another, that's another. And there's different tiles that you can get. So there's one section that's smaller, and then it just fits a doorway. Then there's others where it's a receiving door for a truck, or a receiving door, like a bay door for, building to rail car. So you can kind of mix and match, make your own building, or you can do the exact same one that's on the front of the package, basically. But because of the way I am, I'm like, well, I'm going to take all the parts and I'm going to turn it into a background building, because there's no rules here. There's definitely no rules when it comes to building these kits, except don't put the door upside down. But that's pretty straightforward here with some of these pieces. There's another style where it kind of looks like it's ribbed, because you've got these spaces that go down. They're big, thick pieces of concrete that stick out. So you can do the same thing with either of those, depending on what you need to do or what kind of style you want to make. But you can kind of make a custom kit with either or. But Yeah, they're Walters concrete style buildings. Then with the background building, I'll show you after. I've got one kit that is the electric, is an electric furnace or the powerhouse, something like that. And then another building I did was the craft building, which good luck finding one now. But I cut that in half, and I took the other half and I put the other half, the back half of the craft building on this side, and then the powerhouse on this side. So it all kind of makes one big background building. Make them your own because you don't always have to do what's on the front of the box. Also, everybody has a different style layout. So whether you're putting the building at the front of the layout or the back of the layout, maybe you only need half of the kit. So you either make it smaller or you make it shorter, or you can make it even longer, but it's a background building. Yeah, just, make it your own. That's where you can take parts from a couple of different kits and then just kind of kit bash and make it look like it's something totally different. Now I did add, you can kind of see these big squares here, rectangles. That is to hold up the roof, which I've replaced. Typically it would be a big piece of plastic that you have on there. That's pretty heavy, and I'd have to cut it in a weird way. So I ended up taking foam core board, which you get at the dollar store. And you can see foam core board, and it just got black. And then I put the grip tape on top. You guys have heard me talk about this stuff before. It's just the sandpaper. And with the sandpaper, you lay it down, you get it nice and flat. It sticks to the foam core pretty good. And then this is really light. It's lighter than the plastic, and it just sits on there just like that. Yeah, you can probably see that hole right there. I don't know if you can or not, but if you can, I'll tell you what that's for after. But basically, I wanted to cut something that would be like one piece for this entire thing here, just to kind of make it easier to, if I need to get inside. Eventually, I won't need in there at all, but it'll be easy still to remove it and whatnot if I do need access. So I think my hot glue gun's almost done here. And I just want to be careful that I don't get any glue on my wiring. Okay. Now, I assume that this is going to take a couple sticks of hot glue to do, but I am more or less just running a bead of glue along the bottom there where both the building and the masonite, touch or connect. And I'm hoping that it holds it directly to the board, especially if you use enough of it, it should cure. So here's hoping. Now I did use wood glue previously on another kit, and it holds really well, which is also good. So worst case scenario, if the hot glue doesn't work all that well, I'll come back and I'll have to glue it with the wood glue. I'll let you know what happens. But in some cases, this hot glue does just fine, so I'm not too worried of whether or not this is gonna work. Be sure that you run supports wooden strips from one edge of the other lengthwise. Foam core will bend with the time due to moisture. Now, I'll show you on another part here as well. You're probably right, but I've got, like when I put the other building in, I've got more of these on the front of the building, so it's really not too far away from that. So I'm hoping that I don't need to run the extra supports, but if it does happen, then yeah, I'll just swap it out. But I've had that piece for a while, and it hasn't warped or anything. So I'm hoping that that is the case and it stays non-warping. I don't know what that word would be. I'm pretty sure it's non-warping. I'm just going to hold this for a minute so that it's flush across the front. Use Lego blocks. I don't know if I need Lego blocks. My kids would probably kill me if I took their Lego blocks. Joe said that that's how he does all his background buildings as well. Yeah, I mean, like Walther sells background buildings that are your generic background building, but still you're buying something that's, you know, generic, which is fine, but you got to switch it up a little bit, right? Got to add something different. So that's where these custom buildings come into place. Now, like I said, I also like to add lighting, so I did add the Woodland Scenics lights to these. If you've been, or if you've watched my old videos about the old paper mill, you would have seen a whole bunch of these lights as well on the other layout. So they add a little bit of detail. I like them, and they're really easy for me to deal with because I don't like doing wiring. So I just keep it simple. Got a chance to go to the club yesterday, which was nice. They're doing a 4-day setup where they set up on Thursday, and then you can run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the layout comes down. You might have seen I posted a video earlier of some running at the club, and I'll do some shorts as well. I've got a couple of shorts that I've got set up for next week that are just compilations of, you know, trains running. I know people really enjoy watching the trains go, so I'll do some of those. And we talk mail call as well. I don't have anything in the mail right now. Nothing that's arrived yet, anyways. But I'm waiting on 3 packages now. So Mike was nice enough to send out my stuff to me, so I'm waiting on some switches and whatnot, which will probably be here in the next couple of days or so. And then my new Go cars are in the mail, and I should have those by Thursday. So that'll be fun to do an unboxing. When those come in. And yeah, I'm really excited to get started on my yard because my trains don't go very far right now. And I figure once I get through, doing the yard, I just got to get up the helix and then do mainline on my second level. So hopefully I'll have full loops soon. Evan Emerhales, how's it going? Did Chris mention my birthday party? $250 covered charge. I hired a DJ. Yes, I mentioned the birthday show. I told everybody that you were turning 26. I hope I got the age right. Tell my back that. I was trying to think of something witty to say, but I'm like tired, kind of. So you won't get witty from me today. Sorry. Almost done. Almost done with the hot glue. I promise. Then I'll be able to show you the other buildings that I need to attach here. Then I can set up all the lighting for it because I got to do that on the inside here. An HO scale EKG monitor. I don't know if they've got those. Okay. So I got that in, and everything's glued on the inside. Again, I want to keep the outside looking clean still. So that's definitely something that I wanted to get dealt with here because it's a pain otherwise. the other thing is this darn lighting here, which always gets tangled. So there's that as well. So I'm just going to kind of bunch this up. There we go. Okay, maybe that's going to be a little bit easier now to deal with this. Again, I tested all my lights first this time. You got to test it first. Okay. Now, I was telling you about the other buildings that I have here. And I had mentioned that with one of them, you can kind of see I put like a little shelf here. I call it a shelf. And this goes around this. And I've got to put, so I've got a little light up here. I'm going to put these through the door, because there's a door with a window. And I'm going to put the wiring through that. Again, keeping to the whole, hidden wiring theme of all this. And I want to make sure that it's also in the right place. So I'm going to put this back on. Okay, and that should be good there. And it sits on the little shelf right here. So, I mean, I can put stuff on here and it's not going to collapse it. So, to me, that's good, I guess. But yeah, makes it look like it's all finished. Ooh, ah. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hot glue this one into place. You thought I was done with the hot glue. Well, you were wrong. Actually, maybe I should put the, no, because then I have to, well, I don't know, maybe. No, I'll just hot glue. This building won't be as bad because it's already held into place with the pieces of wood. But I do need to tack it down so that it stays down. And this here I can do on both sides. Just over here. And I'm going to let that sit for a minute, because once that dries, I can kind of show you here what we're working with. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now. I did not change the color of it. You guys, most of you said, no, don't repaint them. They look cool in an odd color. So I'm taking your word for it. Some other things I do want to do, though, I want to paint a black edge around here, but that's okay. It can be all built like this, and I can still do that. So I am going to continue doing that. And then I'll come back and I'll paint this in the edging black. Hey, Randy, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. I am bringing an old kit back to life. The old resuscitator, EKG or whatever they call it. And I'm going to, of course, make it look a little bit better with some more details and whatnot, so that it fits perfectly with my paper mill area. As for roof detail and stuff too, I gotta do all that. I've got a whole bunch of roof detail parts, but I want to get more. And I really like the detail parts from ITLA, and I had some left over, so I added them to my other kit, which I can show you after, unless you guys saw the pictures or video or whatever. Then yeah, I've already technically kind of showed you, but yeah, I want to get some more and add it throughout here. You know, like a nice little ventilation system and whatnot. But this is just what I'm working on right now. I'm glad I got a bigger table, but at the same time, the table's still not big enough. There, now it all fits. So it looks a lot better already, especially with the fact that it's being held into place, and I don't have to worry about, you know, moving in, moving out. And I even have these little stair things here. I'll be putting them in front, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of cork right in front, and I'm going to show you. So this is just cork, you know, normal cork, nothing too fancy. When I put it underneath, it raises it up to a perfect height. And what I'll do is I'll make a little concrete pad, might bring it out to about here or something, and then I'm going to paint it. So this serves two purposes. When I put one here and I put one here, and I glue it down to the actual layout itself, it's going to act as a little piece that's going to hold this whole thing in place, because the back of it goes against the backdrop, and then it slides into like right in front of the piece of cork. So I put a couple here. It's going to hold here and here, which is perfect. And there's a concrete pad over on this side, so it basically fits snug and in place. And this whole thing will not move left or right because of all the little pieces that are around. But it's going to be hidden because it's going to be a concrete pad here, and then ballast is going to go right up to it, and its ballast is going to go right along here as well. So I'm hoping it looks good. And then we'll go from there. But I'm not ready to do the ballast or any of that yet. I just want to get through the building first and then see what happens. But did want to let you know that I'll be doing that both here and here. And then, of course, I have to kind of paint the front of that as well, because you can kind of see the brown masonite there. Not that it matters too much because it'll probably be covered up anyways. But that's my idea for that. So now these pieces here, I found these today, and I thought it would be crucial to add kind of like a lip right along the top here. And that's technically what these pieces are for. If you ever buy this kit, you get the wall pieces, you get a base that goes around the bottom, and then you get this kind of lip that goes up at the top here. And that's, you know, that's the lip for the whole thing. So what I want to do though with that is I want to paint it black before I actually glue it on here as well, because I do not want to get black on the blue or blue on the black, etc., and then go through all that repainting and touch-ups again. So before I do that, I need to glue a little bit more. But now that that's dry, and I've talked your ear off with that nonsense, I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the inside here, just to make sure that this is going to hold in its place. The only thing I hate about using hot glue are the little spider webs, you know, like the stringy side of the hot glue when it gets all stringy. I don't like it. And Trackside Mike and Russ is rocking O and HO. How's it going? Randy said he's building his basement HO scale, DCC sound, Intermountain CN. Did that say Heritage? I didn't go fast enough. Ooh. CN Veterans 3015. 3015. Which one was 3015? I have all of them, but I'm trying to. Look, now I want to check. I gotta check it. 3015. I don't have 3015. Oh wait, 30. Oh no, I got 31. Which one's 3015? I gotta double check to see which one it was. Yeah, 3015. Intermountain and CN Veterans 3015. Randy, which one is the 3015? So I was looking at, so I've got, these are all my veteran units here for CN. But I don't have 3015, so I was wondering which one that is. Okay, so that glue is in there and it's holding, so I'm happy with that. How many industries are you going to have? Depends on how many I can fit. I don't know yet. So I'm kind of going one at a time just to see how much I can actually fit in the space that I've got. And so far I've got a paper mill. But I'm going to have some local, like within the yard area. So it's basically I can bring stuff and take stuff out of the yard and then go drive, and then bring it back and then switch it out with some local stuff. Just to say it's like a yard to yard transfer. But I'm also going to have some industries throughout where I can, I have to pull up, drop cars, pick up cars and whatnot. But local switching as well is really fun. Possibilities are endless. So this is kind of what I'm dealing with right now. I've got the light hub, and I've got these things, but I really hate these things. I don't recommend them, but I've got to use it. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. Fun, right? So I've got the black and the green wire, and then I've got the black and the green wire. And I'm going to put both black wires in one. And I'm going to put both green wires. And I'm probably going to have to test this several times because, not that I don't trust myself, but I don't trust this little connector thing here. So if you see me testing several times, that's why. Okay, so this is for this light. And I can fit these two. And I think I want to do black and then red with the green. I'm sorry, I told you guys I wouldn't make you suffer through watching me do electrical tonight. But here you are, watching me suffer through electrical. Okay, so I want to try this to make sure that these lights work before I tuck that in there. So I gotta somehow bring this closer without breaking anything. There's an extension cable. Where's my extension cable? Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my extension cable. Because it's the only way I'm going to be able to do this and show you the lighting and test it and whatnot. It's going to take a second. And because I'm super organized, and I'm saying that sarcastically, this is my version of keeping things organized, yeah? So in here, there is all these. This is all Woodland Scenics cable, by the way. This is how committed I am to the cause. Extension cable. Okay. So I've got my extension cable, and I've got to find the other end of this thing. There we go. Okay, that wasn't too difficult. I actually made that seem a lot harder than what it was going to be, or what it was. Did I not? I didn't knock anything down. Okay. Okay. And then that goes to here. And then I put the extension cable in. And then I connect the extension cable to the hub. The knee bone's connected to the leg bone. All right. And then I need the actual power. Okay. So those two lights are not on. Why are those lights not on? Because I obviously messed up. So which are those? So these two here are these ones. So I clearly messed those up. So for some reason, those should probably go in there. And those should probably go into there. And we'll see if that works. Nothing. I see how it is. You're making me look like a liar because I wired this up yesterday and I made it look good and everything worked. Okay, let me get one of them working at least. If I can get one working, then I should be able to get both of them. Oh, okay. It might have been the port that it was plugged into. I find that these are getting a little bit more finicky. The more that I use them, the more finicky it gets. So let me try this one now and see if I can line up these with the same one. Aha! They're all on now. Perfect. I don't know. Yeah, it was just the port. That's all it was. So we've got this light on up here. I don't know if you can actually see that. Well, now you can, right? Because light, no light, right? Got these two here, and I've got this one over here. So pretty cool. And then, of course, when you hide the wire, it looks even better. Get a little roof piece on here. Neat. I'm happy with it already. I haven't even really done anything yet. So that is roughly what we've got so far. I can adjust the brightness, but it looks much brighter on my screen than it does in real time. So you're going to have to kind of forgive that, I guess. I don't know. But for what I'm seeing here, this looks pretty good. And I know you can't really see it, but if you look behind me, those lights are on as well. Just because it's all connected to this little hub right here. And that's my on and off switch right there. So everything's going to connect to here. Mind you, I'm going to hide this under the layout. That's going to go under. It's just up here for now for, ease of connection purposes. Whoops. But, okay, next building. Going to add the next building now. And then I'll be able to do this whole thing at once because, testing. Okay, feeling pretty good about this. Feeling pretty good. I haven't burned anything down yet, but the night's still young. Okay, so for this next kit, sorry, dramatic pause. For this next kit, it's a little different because I've got this and it's kind of built into this here. It like sits inside. And then I also have one of these hanging out as well. Yeah, so what we're going to do first and foremost is I'm going to test this connection and I'm going to get another connector. Always test. Always test. So when I plug power into this one, I got the wrong one. I got a regular cable instead of an extension cable. Hang on. Well, yeah, it's pretty safe. Don't worry, Mike. I'm only a professional when I want to be. So if we had to start a fire here, then I would definitely do that. Okay, testing cable. Test. Pulling out testing cable number 2. I got this thing. Alrighty. Okay, so now I can plug this into like this, and then plug this into like that. And is the switch turned on? Now it's on. Oh, look at this. Okay, so if you're wondering why this is lit up, and this is lit up, and this is lit up, but this is dark, it's because the building's in front of us, so you can't see any of this anyways. Now, one of the tricks that I did here was this door. This is a doorway, man-made door. I just removed the door. So a lot of the wiring that's inside of this building is going to come out through that door, and it's going to be inside the other building. But I'm glad these lights work. It gives me less to mess around with here because it's kind of like reassurance. I am reassured that this is all going to work. Just remember, always test. Test first. Test everything. Test twice if you have to. So this is a regular cable. And I want that to go through here. And I want it to plug into here. And this cable here, I'm going to have to put this on its side. And I want these wires coming up through here as well. I have to be very careful with these wires because the smaller wire, it's very, very dainty and breakable. So of course I want to be very careful with it. So basically, those pieces of wood that are the long piece of wood, it fits in right in here because it's the same thickness. So all my wires come into here, which is great. And it'll go like that. And this will go through that hole. So will this. Is this the extension cable? Yeah, I gotta change that. So that changes out. And there should be another, got another one of these cables here somewhere. And I'm going to plug it into there. Here it is. So far, we're doing really good, I think. I think, therefore, I am doing really good. I could probably, I mean, I could add another light to this. Probably won't, but I could. I won't, but I could. Okay, so there's that. This will go through that hole. And then I need one more cable. Non-extension cable. Keeping in mind, you can get all this stuff at your local hobby shop. Oh, extension. I should just separate my extension cables from my laundry cables. Do I have a cable that's not extension cable? Here we go. Brand new. Any hole in the wall is a prep for a future hole in the wall or a tunnel. Yeah. I mean, with this here, train doesn't really go through these walls. But... Okay. I just want to test that one more time because you can never be too sure. Oh, damn. Okay, I can't. Unless it stretches over here. Nope. Wait. Yes, I probably can. Hang on. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going to grab another blue hub. So I just want to remind you guys that per power supply, so when you plug a power supply into one of the blue hubs, this is your expansion hub, right? So one expansion hub can hold 4 red hubs, which is your regular light hub. Okay. And then the red light hub can hold 4 individual lights. But if you've got this thing, which again I don't really like because it clips it, I put 2 lights in here. Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to. Well, I think it says something about, if you tie them together, but I always put these bigger gauge wire on here, and it's tougher to get more into this thing because it's a thicker wire, but it's better because it's better. No, it's better because it's a thicker wire, and it'll hold it a lot better than the little stuff. So on top of that, when you have 2 of these blue hubs, so you can have a blue hub here, and then you run the power out to the power in, which I'm about to do. Power out on one hub to power in on the second hub. It should when I turn on the power, did I put it in power? Power in. Where does it go? Nope. Oh, I know why. This one's not going to have control. There we go. I had to put, and I'm going to show you here. So, in most cases, I have a power off and on switch, and the on and off switch goes into the third hole, which is your control. But if you do not have a power an on and off switch on your second one, you want to keep your little dummy plug in there. It's just it loops on itself, so it completes the circuit. So when I put my power cable into the power in, you can see everything lights up still. Everything on that side is good. What about this side? Oh, right. It goes into here, which I can plug as a test into here. Okay, so this entire thing lights up now. I don't know if you can see any of this. I might be just talking and you're just listening. That's totally fine too. So we've got 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5, 6, 7, and why does this guy not work? Don't be a pain, just work. I know you work. That's that. Oh, there we go. The light was the brightness, and it was on dim or dark. That's why I couldn't see it. So there you go. There, that's all the lights on this thing are lit up right now. So testing is good. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, so I'm pretty happy with it. I do have to put this in its place though, and hold that down. But I know the weathering, or not the weathering, the lighting is good. So I'm not too concerned with the lighting anymore, and I'm very happy with that. On top of all these lights that are on here, it was also lighting up the other building as well. Woodland Scenics, folks. When this lighting thing came out like 10 years ago or whatever, I did a video, and I had bought like several different products from the line, including the blue hub, the red hub, some of the different lights you can get, nano or stick on, the on and off switch, power supply, some of the other little things too. And I showcased the whole thing, and that's probably like one of my earlier videos. And even though it wasn't the highlight of, videos that I do, I was very happy with that. And I feel like for the people who did see it and they were convinced, they might have purchased some of those kits themselves. And yeah, so that's cool. Has anybody seen that video that I did? I mean, it's from like, a while ago. I'm going to put that in there, and then I want to saw it, liked it, shared it. Well, thanks, Mark. Okay, this thing is. Okay. So I got to put more hot glue on, and I'll let this thing heat up for a minute. This is quite the rigmarole. And I can say that because, you know, I had to build this stupid thing. So, the only thing I don't like is that I had to cut the top of this building short because of the fact that my old layout, the height of the old layout versus this one or versus the kit, there wasn't much room, so I had to literally shave this thing right down. So there's supposed to be a little bit taller, but whatever. Watch your language. But that's my rigmarole. So we just went to 14 plus right there. That's why my kids are not allowed to watch my lives, because I use words like rigmarole and stuff like that. So, shenanigans. Yeah, honestly, like I fit like a pretty decent sized kit or several buildings into a backdrop thing, and then it allows me to do more in the front. It's like a mullet: party in the front, or business in the front, party in the back. Party being the buildings, and the business being railroads. Yeah, somebody time out Russ for that. Don't actually. We're having fun. We have fun here. Anthony says that the Woodland Scenics product is a great invention to the hobby, makes lighting your layouts simple, and what's needed is simplicity. Well, I enjoy a simpler approach to everything. Uh, and like the hardcore lighting guys, like James would probably not use something like this because he's so proficient with stuff like electrical. Same thing with Sparky. They're really good with that stuff. But for Joe Schmo, such as myself, who I try to do as little wiring as possible, I am so happy with something like that because it makes me get back to what I like doing. And what I like doing is running trains and doing scenery. That's what I like, not wiring. And Rainer, how's it going, Rainer? Usually takes, that's another thing with hot glue. It doesn't take too long for it to dry, so I don't mind using it as well with some of these small projects. But the thing with those, which is really neat, because I've seen whatchamacallit. So the plugs, these plugs here, you can buy these little plugs here on, I want to say, Amazon. A friend of mine, Bubs, he's usually in the chat here. He bought a pile of these, and then he buys his own lights just like you did. Now he has a modular layout because he's part of a club. So what he did was he got his own lights. He wired them into these little plugs here, and then he got the hubs, and he was able to power the lights for his layout through that. And instead of adding a power bar to it, he was able to use the plug and then wire it into the bus. And that way, everything, all the buildings on his module is still plug and play because you can remove them. And it plugs into the hub, which is on the underside. And of course, the bus wire lights all his buildings as well. So there's definitely ways to, make these a little bit more advanced. It's just a matter of getting this type of plug, and then Bubs bought them by the tubs, absolutely. But yeah, the way he wired it looked really, really good, and the lights. I mean, you can add like different kinds of lights to it. I've seen a bunch of different versions on Temu and all that. Where's Big CW with his Temu ad? Usually he's talking up Temu. Oh well. But so this building here, or this series of buildings, this thing is 4 feet long, I think. It's either 3 or 4 feet, I think. But this makes for a great backdrop, and it's just the wiring, all the wiring's in here. So you just got to kind of be careful with that. Watch for that, and then you're good. Hate these spider webs. Oh, Bubs is actually. Wait, is Bubs here? Yeah, Bubs is here. Bubs, I was just talking about your lighting, where you got the little plug things, and then you wired your own lights into them. And how cool it was. His ears must have been burning. He's like, somebody's talking about me. Somebody's live right now. Bought a bunch of plugs, and so all my buildings just unplug. Works for me, but I like wiring. It's part of the fun. Yeah, I try to skip the wiring part. That's just my thing, but I just prefer the plug and play approach. Doesn't necessarily mean one is better than the other, but when you can figure out how to do some of these wiring jobs, it's like you can do some pretty extravagant things. I've seen industries that are like, it almost lights up like a Christmas tree. It just looks so amazing. And, all the more to those guys that can do that. Because, yeah, when it looks that good, whew. Telling you, lighting adds another level to this whole thing here. It's amazing. It's amazing what some people can do. fiber optics. That'd be cool. Bubs is the man. He made me feel like $1,000,000 at the club. Fiber optics is cool too. You ever see those Christmas trees that are lit with fiber optics? That's pretty cool. Now, the next part of this is a little bit trickier because it's a piece that sits on here and then feeds on top of this. But I don't want to do that part yet because, and the simple reason for that is that I got to put the roof on and then add that. But also, there's like a lot of work, a lot more detail to go into that thing because it's all of its components. I just want to show you this because we'll put the lid on just to kind of give you an idea of what we're working with here. So this is the kit almost as a whole. Again, there's another piece that sits right here. Maybe I can bring it over. Maybe. It's not all glued down. Some of it is. So it's this whole piece here. See, this isn't glued down yet. That's another kit altogether. And then I've got the piping here. And the pipe goes into that hole. Remember I told you I was going to say about that? So that goes into there. This goes on the corner here. And when it's put into place, it makes a whole thing. Sorry for the shakiness. But I do want to add more weathering to this. I did a bit of like the silver and the main color of it being green. And then, of course, up here with the piping, kind of want to put that down a little bit though, because it comes up. Oh, yeah. And then I got it fenced off here. But I want to add that stuff that almost looks like plastic going right across there, the colored stuff. So we'll do that as well at some point. But that is kind of like an overall look of the kit. And then, of course, the lighting, I got to hook that up because it's got to go under the layout. But I just got to work on the details of this now and weather it up a bit. And then it's going to go on the layout, and that's where it'll stay. And I'll be working on that for a little bit here. So I need to rearrange things so I can actually get this on the table, though, because it's like half off and half on. So, yeah. I'm going to take this piece off here and put it back before I break it. And then the third section, I know I mentioned it to you guys already. There's a third building thing to this, but it's going to be separate. So this is the third building here. Again, it's a backdrop building. This is the craft building. And I still have to cut a base for it. Do some weathering, obviously. I did some yellow piping already. You can see the tanks and the walkway. I'd like to add more lights to it as well. So I'll probably be doing that as well. That's going to be phase 3, though. I'm on phase 2 right now, which is the big, long building. But we're getting there. We are getting there. Another hole in the wall. There's a place where I do have to put one more hole in the wall. You're 100% right. It's not going to happen tonight, but there is one more place that I do have to put a hole in the wall. So I will have a total of 3 one going into the office, one exiting the office, both on the lower level, and then one going into the office on the top level, or level 2. Darn, I don't have... Did I get rid of that? I don't know if I have it still. Okay. What do I do with this? Where do you go? I got to put this somewhere so that I can do some work. You know what? I'll do that part later because I don't have anything to paint it. No rest for the wicked, Mike. I hope so. I hope to run trains soon, even if it's just the bottom level. There's two things I love doing. It's splitting up a scene with a backdrop and curving my corners on my backdrop. So anywhere where you're hitting a corner, don't make it a sharp corner. Always curve it. Just makes it look like the scene goes a little bit longer. So right now I'm just taping off sections here because I want to paint these the lip of some of these buildings black, just to kind of give it a nice look up top here. So don't forget, I'll be live on Thursday. I'll be working on my yard. Might have to do some work, some track work, some cork work, possibly. Hey, Matthew, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. I feel like this will look really nice once it's fully done, and that does include weathering and all that. So I'm hoping that we can make this look decent. And just so you know, this is one kit. You can go out and you can buy this one kit. And I just made it. I took both sides and I just made the whole thing longer. I've seen a thing too where you can kind of reshape the outside. I think it's a really good kit for doing custom pieces with. Just really easy to work with. And I get a lot of like with some of these bigger kits. I got this exact piece, and I know I showed you guys in the past when I was going through my bits box. But this piece right here, I got that randomly in a kit that has absolutely nothing to do with the kit that I got it in. It was in the box, and I'm like, what do I even do with this? And I put it in the drawer, but I can totally use it somewhere else on the layout eventually, and just use it as another backdrop building, I guess. But I just thought it was funny that it was in a kit that had nothing to do with what the kit was. Or if anybody needs a backdrop building, I don't really care. It didn't obviously cost me anything. You want a backdrop building? I've got enough building kits that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to use on this layout anyways. I just like building kits for the fun of it. Oh, Floyd's going. All right. You have yourself a good night, Floyd. I'm gonna do the edging of this here black as well, but I'm gonna paint these separately and then I'm gonna glue them on here, just because that's gonna be I'm gonna have to make a whole ordeal of doing this. And is my glue gun still plugged in? Weird. Well, I hope everybody had a good Christmas and a good New Year, because you know, the holidays. Well, that's cool. Matthew went on a GO train yesterday. So I had two MP45s, one of which was the power of the train. Neat. So I don't know if you guys have seen, but Go Transit just bought a couple of F-59s from, what is it, Metra? I think of Metra. I think they bought about either 4 or 5 of them. And there was a picture taken of some CN locomotives pulling them, taking them to North Bay, which is where the O&R is. And they've got paint shops there. So they're going to be repainting some of those for Go Transit. And so far the F59 has only been in the one paint scheme, which looks like this. So the F59 has always been painted like this. And they're going to do the new paint. Hopefully, it doesn't make sense to paint the new ones that they got like this. They should be painting them in the new paint scheme, the new Go Transit paint scheme. That looks more like this with the two-tone green. So hopefully that 59, the one that I just showed you, is going to be painted like this. Because if that's the case, then hopefully Rapido will be putting more of those out. They've got the tooling for the F59, so I can imagine them doing those, as long as they don't do too much work to the body. Because, yeah, that'd be neat. And Matthew was able to get a pre-order on the Rapido bi-levels, so you'll have a complete Go train. That's great. I'm glad that you found some. I was able to find some as well. They're on their way here, so I've already ordered mine. But you have to wait till Thursday to see what I got. It's a secret. Not really, but I'm calling it a secret. Am I getting the new Via Bud cars by Rapido? Are you talking about the stainless steel ones, the silver? If so, yes, I would like to. I think I picked out about 10 cars to make 2 trains. Both are a little bit different. So I'm really excited for those. Not sure when they're coming in though. I'm hoping to get the Metrolinx two-tone green ones if I can, since I only pre-ordered 1 3-pack of the original Go scheme and the one single two-tone car. Well, I can tell you what I was able to do. For the set that I wanted to get, the person who had them, they had a coach set, and then they had the coach with the cab car set. But I really don't want the cab car that it comes with. I do have 2 cab cars from the original paint scheme, but I'm really holding out for that really nice, newer looking cab that Go Transit has with the big window. So he was able to take the cab car out of the 3-pack, and he replaced it with an unnumbered coach car. So I'm going to have 6 coach cars in a certain paint scheme. So that's, I wanted to do that, and he was nice enough to do that for me. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and it was a pretty decent price too. I'll have a total of 18 Go cars after that. And I was talking to a gentleman today who might have some Athearn ones for sale, but his original question to me was, how much do I think they're worth? And it's kind of a biased question because I really don't like the Athearn cars all that much. But for some reason, people on eBay sell them for more than the Rapido ones, and I just think that's ridiculous. I mean, I know in some cases it's a money grab, and that's all it is. They don't care about the hobby. They don't care about the cars. They just care about making money off the hobby. And that's crazy to me. Stuff like that ruins the hobby. But I said usually like a car like that, if you're selling it as an individual car for an Athearn, I say anywhere between $75 to $90 for that one car. Because when you buy a Rapido car, you're paying about $110 to $120, and it has lighting and it works really well. That has metal couplers that also work really well. And then the Athearn ones are just, And when they first came out, they were only $50 it was about $55 to $60 for a single car. But now, when you go online, you can find a single Athearn Go Transit car, just a coach car, for $200. And to me, that blows my mind. How can that be worth more? How can it be worth more than a Rapido? You know what I mean? It doesn't sit well with me, you know. And then we can talk about the Rapido announcement on Christmas Day, because you guys know that I look forward to seeing the announcement Christmas Day as to what the new Rapido thing is going to be or what's coming out. And I got to tell you, my wallet is pretty safe right now. I've never felt more safe in my entire life than I do right now. But for those of you who are planning on spending, and I know you're out there, has anybody seen, besides the people I've obviously talked to about this, because, I'll vent to my friends and say, what's going on here? What's going on here? That doesn't look right. But has anybody else noticed the price tag of the new DCC Sound locomotives? Do we think that the $475 Canadian price point MSRP is a bit much? Because unless I've been sleeping under a rock, which I don't normally sleep under rocks. I mean, usually I try to keep on top of this stuff. But when I look at locomotives now, I look at how it's been for the last several years. So let's talk about it in Canadian dollars, because that's, again, I'm in Canada, so I just deal in Canadian dollars, really. So when I look at a locomotive, and we'll say DCC Sound, typically for the last little while, it was about $310. That's what I would pay for a DCC Sound locomotive. Now, I shop at Otter Valley for the most part, and I always find that their locomotives, in general, are already $50 cheaper than anybody else. So when you buy the same locomotive, 310, you're looking at about 350, 360 with the other guy. And to me, that was, wrong of the other guy, because that's a lot, right? But, teach their own. And that's how it was for the longest time. Okay, that's, whatever, you get used to it. I know inflation is a thing too, so don't get me wrong with that. So lately, how it's been is that locomotives have gone up to about $340 Canadian. And yeah, it's a little increase, but you're getting a lot more now. I find, especially when you have locomotives that are potentially sold as they have keep alive or something like that in it. Even the Atherton locomotives, which tend to be a little bit more, which are normally around the $375 mark that I've seen. And then Scale Trains is right around there too, closer to 400. Some Atlas ones, 400, after tax or whatever. But now locomotives are being advertised as $475 MSRP. That seems like quite a jump. And I'm not sure if that's based off of the fact that, with all the talks of tariffs and all that stuff and the increase and importing, exporting, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it. We all watch the news sometimes. I don't know if that's just a safety precaution. And I don't want to get political on you guys, right? Because I don't do politics. My channel is not for politics. But, with the pricing of things, they could just be because of the tariffs. And then the price comes down if the tariffs don't happen, right? That could just be a placeholder, a safety net, if you will. So it is possible that still changes. But if it does not change and locomotives going forward are going to be in and around the 475 mark before tax, I'm good. I'm not. I've got locomotives. I'll be happy with what I've got because I don't think that I'll be spending that kind of money on a locomotive at that point. There's no way. That's yeah. Now you can say, but Chris, it's a hobby. Everything is an investment. That's fine. You can still do it. I'm just saying, for me personally, no, that's no way. I hear of way too many issues with way too many locomotives and locomotive brands. And it's like, people are already mad. And that was when it was a $300 locomotive. People already get mad when their locomotive shows up and it doesn't work right, or, the manufacturer says one thing, but the locomotive does another, and, all that fun stuff, right? Imagine paying $200 more and still getting the same garbage. I mean, there's a lot of trains I have right now that are not garbage. I paid $400 for that charger. It's not a garbage charger, but the cars that you pull, which are about $140, $150 a piece, they're garbage. I'm so excited for the cab car. Paying $300 for a cab car just because it has sound to it. And the only reason why I'm getting it is because the train looks stupid when it doesn't have the rear end car. That's the only reason why. But the highlight for me of that whole thing was the price tag on a lot of these locomotives going forward. And that was no Christmas miracle, let me tell you. I was not thrilled. Even though I didn't see anything that I would potentially buy. Well, I mean, the CP one, the CP locomotive, GP, Was it GP38 or something? That one was the only one that I would consider, but it's only under the thing that I, add CP to my roster. If I do not add CP to my roster, then it means absolutely nothing. But yeah, close to 500. Should go to G scale at that point. Their locomotives, G scale locomotives are up there, but it's a way bigger, locomotive. GP39. Ah, yeah. I knew it was like a GP something, and I couldn't remember which one. So many. But yeah, it looks great. Don't get me wrong. It looks like a fantastic model. Is it $500 fantastic? No. No. Not at all. So, y'all are going to have a lot of sorting out to do. A lot of what are you going to do? What are you not going to do? It's really getting to the point. I had talked about it with a couple of guys previously, and I said, you're really going to have to love the model going forward. And that's going to be how it's going to, that's literally how you're going to base your decisions. Because if you don't love that model, you're not paying $500 for that model. You can tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. That's just the way I see it. Because if a model comes out and it's $500, if I don't love it, I'm not getting it. I'd have to love it. And the thing with the Charger, the only reason why I got it is because A, I knew no one else was going to do it. And B, I mean, it's as modern as you get, and it's a VIA locomotive in car set. So it fits for what I do. Only reasons, Otherwise, I would have left it. I would have left it alone. But that's going to be the way a lot of people look at these things now. It. You wonder why a lot of these kids don't get into the hobby. Well, what kid has an extra $400 or $500 sitting around waiting on this new locomotive? You know how many front lawns they'd have to cut to be able to afford something like that? You're going to see less kids in the hobby. And you think a kid in the hobby that has parents that have nothing to do with model railroading, right? Like my kids are lucky. If they wanted to play with trains, they know I'm going to go and get it. But some kids who are into the hobby and their parents aren't won't understand why the child is asking for $500 for this locomotive. It's going to be a tough go for some of these kids too. So, just when I see that stuff, it worries me. It worries me that the hobby is going to get to that point where you're going to see less and less people doing it just because of the cost. Certain things are only for the rich, I guess. But that also means that, if there's anything that you've been wanting to get it now. Because everything right now, when you go and get a locomotive, you're still paying about the 300 and something, obviously depending on where you shop. I'll pay the 320, 330, but I won't pay the 500 for it. No way. I mean, John, you're doing your part. You know, uh, it's how you keep the kids in the hobby, right? Mark's going to be shopping with his nephew from now on. But yeah, I haven't heard or seen a lot of people mention it online. Um, and I was like, does anybody even notice? Does anybody care? I'm sure there's people that don't care. They're like, shut up and give me my locomotive, take my money, that whole situation. And they really don't care how much they pay, which is cool. I mean, do you, right? But for me, it just I see that and I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. You know, that's a disgusting price. My wife is gonna kill me when I buy that. She asked me how much I spent on it. My wife already kind of bats an eye. Like she knows, like I have my things, she has her things, but she still kind of bats an eye when I'm like, oh, so there's this locomotive that I've been eyeballing. And she's like, yeah, how much is this eyeballing locomotive? Oh, 300 bones, And she's like, well, you're going to have to take up treasure hunting or, you know, something like that, where, you know, you find a treasure and then you use that treasure to pay for you know, sell an organ. I'm like, but none of my organs are good, you know? I might, my liver might be okay. I don't drink, but well, there's two prices. There's the price that we tell our wife or wives, and then there's the actual price. Unless my wife is watching, which I don't think she is, there's only one price. By the way, I'm still doing the edging for all of this, just in case you're wondering what I'm doing. What time is it? Wow, it's almost 10. That's crazy. It's past Mark's bedtime. Yeah, that's the tough part, right? It's like you want her to buy you trains, but then she has to know the price. I always planned that she'd find out after I pass away or something, because I'd tell her don't sell them for what I told you they're worth. They're definitely you know worth more, and that's how she'd find out. But she couldn't kill me because I'd already be dead. So that's the fun part. I'm almost done. Think about it. By the time you get track and cars and scenery, wire, DCC system, lumber to build it, you spend well over $3,000 for a half decent layout. And that's basic. I mean, yeah, the DCC system right there is going to run you about, three to five. Lumber has gone down in price. Depending on how you want to build it, and if you're building, just a 4x8 or what. There's different ways around this, right? You can always, for example, my layout. Now I already have the stuff because of my last layout, and all I've spent so far out of pocket is $50, $60, sorry, $60 for a bit of plywood, and 200 on switches, and 200 on a box of track. And so far, I've got one industry in. So I'm trying to, keep the costs down a little bit, but at the same time, you can't really avoid it. And my bench work is almost done, which is good. I figured the thing that's going to cost the most is going to be the track and the switches. Cork too, but I get a lot of cork from the dollar store. So bigger sections like my yard, I'm going to use these bigger sheets of cork, and it's going to cover a lot of area, and it's even cheaper, or I should say less expensive than cork from the train store. Because I spent it was $15, and I got 10 pieces of 1x1. 10 pieces of 1x1. So I can do 10 feet by 1 feet, or 2 feet by 5 feet, or something like that. Hi, Steph. Sorry for your loss. Chris wanted me to have all this. Yeah, nice try, Mark. Just for that, you're not in the will. Chris, I'm planning a new layout, and I'm planning to do mainly CN and Go, and occasionally via service. Nice. I'm in the same boat. Definitely in the same boat. Planned once I get confidence. Sometimes you just got to do it. I lack confidence so much. So much, though, that I can't take a compliment. I had that conversation with someone the other day. They're like, you did a good job. And I'm like, did I, though? Did I? Or did I just get really lucky? I don't know. We're always harder on ourselves anyways. We're our own worst critics. 22 by 24 shelf layout. Lumber was close to 600. Yeah. I run trains, collect TH&B. I had 22,000 invested in my N-scale stuff when I sold 10 years ago, and I had a relatively small collection. Dang. I think the most I had at one point in just like locomotives and cars was about 10 or 11 grand worth. But it's like, you sell a lot of that off, and I've moved a bunch. I've done several layouts, so that eats up a lot of the, now I need cork, now I need track, now I need switches, and that's what happens, right? I try to keep minimal stuff, otherwise it's just sitting. I'm in no way, shape, or form a collector. because you know that the collectors, they go ham, right? Like they have totes and totes and totes of different stuff that'll probably never see the track, or stuff that has seen the track once and then put away, and or it's just on display. And I know a lot of my stuff is just on display right now, but that's just to liven up my office a little bit if I'm ever in a meeting. Praying that nobody asks me, hey, what's that stuff in the background? But secretly hoping somebody asks me, hey, what's that stuff in the background? Making them regret asking me that question instantly. It's always a fun conversation to have. Or wearing a train t-shirt and somebody saying, hey, I like CN. My family member, drove for them or whatever. Do you drive trains for CN? No, just the little ones. And then they look at you and they're like, oh, that's weird. And believe me, that's happened in an IKEA, going through the IKEA checkout. I can't make this stuff up, folks. It's real. Okay, I think I got all the roof pieces that I wanted to get. The question is, how occasional will your VIA service be? So you can technically run it as much or as little as you want. See, when I know I'm going to the club, I have to have a long sit down and think about what I'm going to, run, because I don't get to run that often. And if I'm going to pack up a bunch of stuff and take it to the club and run that stuff for the day, I have to be very specific as to what I'm going to take. Last couple of times that I went, I took my Go stuff. So MP40, F59, and then just a bunch of my cars, and then swap out some of the stuff here and there, and do that. And then this past, what was it, yesterday? What's today? Saturday? Yeah. So yesterday when I went to the club, I thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to take the Go stuff because I already did that. The next easiest thing for me to take would be my VIA stuff. So I took like 10 of my VIA cars, and I didn't even end up using all 10 VIA cars. I only used about 6. And then I was swapping out between my P42, or one of my P42s, my F40 in the Renaissance, and then my F40 in the 40 years of VIA. And I'm like, okay, like that seems like a good set to take, because all I'm doing is really switching the locomotive. The cars will remain where everything else, And it worked. I would go for an hour or 2 with one locomotive. Most of it is just to make sure that everything is still running properly, because I don't get to obviously run my stuff here on the layout. I don't have a full loop or anything yet. So I run that stuff to make sure that it still runs. If anything needs maintenance, if something's not working properly, at least I know what I need to do. I'm not sure yet how occasional it will be, because the Canadian is an expensive train to make. Not to mention, Rapido has made a new run of the F40s, but they haven't. Yeah, they haven't made a. That's true. I was really hoping that they were going to announce more F40s, more Renaissance, and then Love the Way. as well. I want to love the way F40. Those are great. You can always get the Walthers silver, like the stainless steel cars. I know, they're not completely accurate, but they run really, really well. Walthers cars, yeah, their couplers are great too. So you don't have to feel like you have to, change out your wheels, change out your couplers. It's a car that is very basic. It has seats on the inside, zero lighting, not a big deal. Not everybody lights up their cars, but they roll really, really well. Also, Walthers does have F40s, and I can show you mine. So my F40 from Walthers is a little different because Harry, who did the custom painting for me, this is a Walthers unit, and in a very large way, you would never know it's a Walthers because it's got all the grab irons on, different plow on the front, or pilot, whatever you want to call it. And that's the actual Canadian one. He put the Canadian version on because the one it comes with is the American style. But he custom painted this via with the with the decals for the Diet Pepsi, which I think it was an excursion train. Yeah, it's you did a great job on it. But this is a Walthers, and the Walthers F40s, they come with lock sound now. They were going for, I got this one for $200 Canadian, which is DCC and sound. Amazing price for a really good locomotive. I paid however much to get the custom job done. Whatever, it's still under $300 for a really good locomotive. It's a little bit slower than a Rapido, but they're smooth, and it sounds great because obviously it's a lock sound. So again, you don't have to spend a lot just to get one. I think they went up to about $240 now for a Walthers sound loco. Walthers does have the F40s, but they're not exact to the true. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's missing from it when you get it, plow and whatnot. But depending on if you need it to be exact, you can swap out things like the plow, right? Just check your detail sections. There should be a Canadian. Just find a Canadian plow for it and swap it out. I think that's brass. Might be brass or just metal. But yeah, make it your own. I got to do the steam unit for that still. Yeah, Trackside Mike has, what are they, the dome cars, Mike? And they're the Rapido ones. When those silver cars come in, I definitely want those. I think a number of people will actually, but a lot of people ask me as well if I'm getting the turbo train. The turbo train is going to be in within the next couple of weeks or so. Probably either by the end of the month or beginning of February. It's a little too early for me for what I run because I run modern, and Yeah. Was that 70s or something? I know. It's one of those things where it's like, well, your layout, your rules, just get it anyways. But it's like that's $1,000 set right there. So probably not. James, are you getting the turbo train? I thought you said that you changed your mind on it. That's cool if you are. I did think of getting some Walthers Via cars because my local hobby shop had a Boxing Week discount, but I had my heart set on a Rapido caboose, so I got that instead. Oh, did you get one of the wide vision cabooses, the Angus, as they call it? I like uh, I like that caboose. It's my favorite caboose of all the cabooses. What's your local hobby shop? I'm in Ottawa, so there's a couple near me, but they're still about 40-45 minutes. But I still often order from Otter Valley, which is in southern Ontario, about 7 hours away from me. But I just prefer because they've got some of the best pricing that I've seen around. So I don't mind having it shipped. James has the Walthers via train. Yeah, I used to have the Walthers cars too. I was thinking about getting some more, but it's only because I have no idea when these whatchamacallit, the Rapido ones are coming in. And they just re-released all the Walthers cars. So you can probably go to the like any hobby shop now and find them. Oh, okay, yeah, George's or Credit, yeah. I grew up in the GTA, so I know exactly where those are. I, to be honest, I refuse to go to Credit Valley anymore. I won't give my reasons why. I just don't. I really like Panther Hobbies, but they have a lot of N scale stuff. Panther Hobbies is really good. They're by Square One, kind of. Kind of. James's favorite is Paris Junction because that's down the street from him, which would be dangerous for me because I'd always be at the hobby store if it was like down the street from me. That's why I have to shop online, which is almost equally as dangerous because it's at my fingertips and I don't have to walk anywhere or drive. I haven't been to that new location yet, but I did hear it was a lot smaller than the old place. Mark loves clearance prices. If you want to see a really good rundown of different stores, Matthew, check out Eminem Rails. He did a live show. He's part of Third Rail Thursday. He did a live in December near the end of the month. It's probably one of his last videos that he did, where he goes over all the stores, all the local stores, and then, you know, shops and their websites and how everything is. And he did a really good job of covering all that. I still want to do a thing where I buy a bunch of stuff from several stores and show like the different prices when you buy from one store versus another store versus another store. Or, you know, I have $50. What do I get from one store versus another store? Which I think would be really cool to see as well. Yeah, he did miss a few, but I mean, there's so many out there, and then there's a lot of the guys as well that don't even have storefronts that just sell, and they're really good too. So many options. All right, so here's my lighting, 2 wires. Building is in place, more or less. I did paint the edging to some of this. I got to do some more probably tomorrow, and then I'll have to add it on to around the edging here, because yeah, it's going to be a little bit trickier, and I don't want to mess up the blue, and it won't be as easy as taping it off like these. Lights work, changed out the side. Roof is in. I know I have to add a number and whatnot to that door on that side. I've got the decals. I'll do that as well. And then I'm gonna have to weather the whole thing. Add roof details as well. I'm supposed to have a ladder. I don't know where the ladder went, but there's a ladder that goes up here, right beside the light. I cannot find it for the life of me. And I'm pretty sure it's in my bits box, but I don't know. I'll have to take a look. So it's going to go back in here. Obviously, I'm going to have to clean all this out again. I've got my hole drilled for my wires to go down through, and then I'm going to do all the wiring underneath. You guys see the concrete pad that I did? That's already in place. That's weathered, so that's pretty cool. And then I've got my main paper mill building. If you missed any of that revamp, you can go back and watch. I did a lot of bricks. So many bricks. But yeah, we're getting there. This section just needs that one more switch, and it's done. And then I'm going to continue on through the wall there. So we'll be back on Thursday. So this Thursday coming up, I'll be working on my yard, or the start of my yard. I figure it's going to be about three or 4 phases for my actual yard. And phase 1 is the entry to the yard. And this is what it's going to kind of look like. So you can kind of see at the bottom here is where I'm starting, and then I'm going to go up and around the corner, and then over to this side here where I will have a loop. So this starts next week. I am so excited. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am, because I just want to run trains. I want to be able to, get back to making videos and doing that whole rail fanning thing where you rail fan your own layout and just watch trains go around. And, it's fun. I love doing that. I really miss doing that. And I haven't done it since the old layout, it came down in April. So it is what it is, but that's what it is. And I want to say thank you to everybody for watching tonight. Ronald is super late because I'm done now. But thank you for showing up, though, Ronald. You'll have to watch the rewind, the playback. You'll have to talk in the chat, but no one's going to reply because you'll be the only one there. So, but yeah. So thank you everybody for watching. Come back on Thursday for Third Rail Thursday, and then we'll be back here next Saturday where I'm going to work on another kit. I don't know which one, but I know I have a bunch of stuff to do because this thing ain't done yet. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks again for watching. I'm Go Veer, go home, but I've got a train to catch. So good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, Mark. Go to bed.